Hello, I'm Tanya, and in this video I'm going to cover off what a coaching session entails, so you gain a little bit of an insight ahead of considering if coaching is something of value to you. If this is a topic of interest, please stick around. So I am a rapid transformational therapist, so I do hypnotherapy, and also a coach. And within my online business, I've got a website, and within the website there is a section that covers the therapy aspects, and there's also a section that covers the coaching, and this is a high level overview, and I'll put in the description below a link to my website so you can check out the coaching page if that is something that's of interest to you. But in this video I thought it would be good to sort of like provide a verbal update of what does a coaching session cover and what you could actually gain from coaching. And on the Wednesday video that I'll be posting this week, I'm going to give you a demo of that initial first coaching session with a client, and a fellow coach friend of mine has agreed to be the client in that situation. It's not a full session, it's a 30-minute version, so at least it gives you like first-hand exposure to what a coaching session is like. So first of all, coaching is really about two people working together collaboratively in order for the client to gain a transformation at the end of that coaching arrangement. Now, in my personal business, I have different packages and it is bespoke to the individual client. So depending on what the client needs are, that package could be over a 6-week period or a 7-week period, or it can go longer to like 3 months or 6 months or even 12 months if that is what the client actually requires. And the frequency of the sessions will depend on the individual client, their goal, and also what they're wanting to achieve, because certain things you may need a little bit longer to track the benefits and track the progress that's being made, where for other goals, speed is of the essence. You want things to happen at a faster pace in order for you to actually get the goal quicker. So it's all client driven, but it's about this collaborative working together. Now, as part of the arrangement, there is a working together aspect to the agreement where it talks about the roles and responsibilities, because the client will have a role in order to turn up and be responsible and participate actively in the sessions, be open and honest, but also do some what I refer to as motivational tasks in between the sessions, where they're either doing self-reflection, they're doing some type of exercise, whether it's journaling, whether it is actually doing a task if they're wanting to delve deep, do some reading, watch some YouTube content, listen to some music, or listen to some podcasts, whatever the need and the requirement for the client is, and based on their desire to move things at a faster pace, because we've all got busy lives. Changes happening irrespective of our busy lives, but what we don't want to do is create a sense of overwhelm where then you start procrastinating and you're too stressed, too overwhelmed to actually take action. So we don't want to put you in a fight or flight, but also not in a freeze situation. The whole objective of coaching is to give you the coping strategies, the insights, the breakthroughs in order for you to manage and navigate your life in a smoother and sustainable way, and make the whole experience fun and enjoyable, because that's what we're all aiming to get away from pain and suffering and head towards the pleasure, contentment and joy. So it is collaborative. There are clear roles and responsibilities. As a coach, my role is to help the client get to their own breakthroughs, get their own insights. It's not about me telling them what they need to do. It's about me asking the right questions for the client to figure out what they need to do. Because what Tanya needs to do versus what the client needs to do are two different things altogether. We're different, unique, bespoke individuals. And what we can and are willing to do is bespoke to us, but it's about the coach aiding the client to come to that realization. It's also to provide challenge, hold up the mirror and show the blind spots where they exist, but at the same time come from a place of non-judgment, compassion and kindness, and also give a different perspective, a different vantage point for the clients, because sometimes we are our worst case enemy. We are harder on ourselves than we are to other people. And it's about seeing things for what they really are, rather than the stories and the lies that we may be sort of repeating on ourselves to keep us stuck and not achieving our desired goals. So there's distinct roles and responsibilities, and also then the question becomes, what type of coach do you need me to be on a daily basis, on however frequently we're actually meeting up? Because we're humans navigating this life experiences, and certain days we might have the bandwidth and the capacity to be able to take a lot more kind of direct approach, where the mirror is being held up and it's for you to sort of like realize that maybe you are being too harsh and critical and judgmental towards yourself or to others, or that you're pushing blame to others. And then there's other days where we need to sort of like put up that kind of sort of like gentle sense that we're actually there to create that safe space where we're being vulnerable, we're being open, we're sharing. Where it's appropriate, I will share my own life experiences and lessons I have learned, or experiences and situations that I've sort of helped navigate other clients through their similar issues or challenges, because that sort of gives a bit of like evidence which you may not have in your own life, but you can actually receive either through me or through my clients or through my training, because I have done extensive reading and research, and I've also participated in a number of master classes and courses where I'm getting first-hand exposure to the findings of other coaching relationships or other therapy relationships, and I'm getting that exposure, and that sort of gives me more information and ability to then be able to guide and provide the relevant guidance to my clients as well. So then the other thing is, as part of the kind of coaching arrangement, is the kind of frequency at which we'll be meeting. At the end of the session, I will provide an email which will outline the motivational tasks and any kind of key points that the client found useful, and it's about just sort of like creating that repetition and embedding the information. And it's about that, the kind of coaching session is really a dialogue between two people, and it flows like a conversation. There will be points where pause is necessary, where you need to give space and time for the client to process the question, to think, and then sort of like come up with either the answer or the insight, the breakthrough, whatever it may be for them. And it's about keeping it relevant. It's not about just sort of like giving a kind of full recount of a story and it takes 50 minutes to retell a story. So there will be times where the coach needs to interject, needs to interrupt the client, and needs to bring the focus and the attention back on what the kind of main goal and the main goal and objective for that day's session is. In each session, the usual kind of starting position is just redefining what the goal, what the outcome for that session is going to be, because things change. You may have had a coaching session on a weekly basis, and you may think that, yes, the following week session is going to start on a particular topic, and you're going to explore several tools and techniques to sort of like drill down and get more clarity, more insight. But in other instances, you may need to sort of like pivot and go in a totally different direction. So it's very much client-led. But at the same time, we need to be clear on what the original objective was. So as part of that working together agreement, there is also an intake form that goes with it where the client outlines what is their goal, what is their aspiration for the goal, why is the goal important to them, and that provides insight in terms of the language and the emotion associated with potentially their beliefs or the rationale for why they think and behave in a certain way. And giving that information, that creates the foundation of where the kind of coaching relationship will need to delve in, and it's something that just evolves over time. Now, within rapid transformational therapy, we've got a number of tools. So within the coaching aspect, we can actually use some of the tools that can be used under hypnosis, but in the coaching space, we use it with the conscious mind. So we may use relaxation to create a visualization situation where it enables the client to connect with a version of themselves or have a dialogue with a certain part of themselves in order to gain more clarity, insight, understanding, and therefore have a breakthrough, because those aha moments are absolutely critical for the client to understand why they think and behave in a certain way and what can they then do to break that pattern of behavior, create healthier habits, remove unhealthy habits, but also rewire their brain so they're no longer in that negative spiral of thought, which in most instances most people are, because as I said, we can be our worst critic, and it's about us making us the kind of biggest cheerleader that we can, but also be pragmatic, because in certain situations and circumstances we need to attain a better understanding of ourselves and how we sort of like show up, and that we're coming from a place of kindness and compassion to ourselves, but also towards others, because it's not about everyone else is to blame. Things are happening in our life because of the choices, decisions and actions that we are having, and in some instances that might be due to boundaries or other kind of reasons and patterns of behaviour. So within the coaching kind of relationship, there are certain stages that we go through, and some of them you'll go from stage 1 to stage 6, others you'll just maybe focus on stage 2 or 3. It really is very customer, client dependent, and on the topic that we're actually sort of discussing, the agenda point for that time. But like the 6 stages are, it's about identifying the language, the habits, the behaviors, the thoughts, the feelings that are associated, and then about tracking how are things moving and progressing from the kind of initial conversation all the way to the end of the arrangement, or even within the conversation, each coaching session in itself, because things, you should be turning up feeling a certain way, and by the end of that coaching session is that you're feeling better and more confident and more reassured, and you know what the next steps are going to be, because it's about building self-sufficiency and coping strategies within the client so they can function without the coach being there. So it's not about creating a codependency relationship. It's about giving the client the tools and the techniques that they need to gain their insights and breakthroughs in order for them to function on their own going forward, equipped with the evidence and the progress that they've actually made. So there is the identification, then it's about the interpreting, it's understanding why we behave and feel the way that we do, then gaining that insight, the breakthroughs, and then it's about interrupting those patterns, those thoughts, those beliefs, and it's about reframing them, and in some instances about letting them go, and in others it's about reframing them, giving certain parts of us new roles. And then it's about creating that imagination. Our brain is the most powerful tool at our disposal, where if we can excite our brain with language and images that are going to fire up our desire, then we're going to be more motivated and willing to sort of like do the work on a daily basis or a weekly basis, however often you need to do it, but to show up for ourselves consistently, because that is what is required of us in order for us to become the best version of ourselves, for us to achieve our goals. And then finally, it's about installing those new beliefs, habits, and patterns of behavior that are going to help us be able to navigate the days when things are going to get a bit tough. It might be that challenges and obstacles surface, or that you do feel a wee bit off and overwhelmed for whatever reason that may be. And by having that conversation, it's about tapping in to the knowledge and experience of the coach through either their own personal journey, or through their training, or through their other clients, or through exposure, through ongoing training that they've received, and being able to make it very bespoke to the client, so the client actually feels empowered and encouraged to actually take the action on a consistent basis and achieve their goals in the process. So this is an overview of what the coaching relationship entails, how the kind of session sort of like transpire. So there is the kind of, what is the agenda topic for discussion that day? It's about tracking how the client is actually feeling, the progress that they're making, any kind of recurring patterns sort of like surfacing. Is the language mirroring the actual behaviors, or is there a bit of a conflict and disconnect there? About showing up those kind of blind spots to create that awareness and the breakthrough, about interrupting things, and then about installing the new way of going forward. Hopefully within here there has been information that's been of interest, of value. How does this, if you've had a coaching experience, if you're a coach, what are your kind of takeaways? What of this information applies to your kind of coaching journey or your kind of coaching relationships? Do you resonate with any of this information? Is it drastically different? Please feel free to share in the comments below. And as I mentioned on the Wednesday video, there's going to be a demo of how this plays out in practical terms, so then you can actually see it live. The one thing to just sort of highlight, that video on the Wednesday is a Zoom call that's been recorded, so the kind of lighting and the kind of decor and everything is different, because I sort of like did that in the office, so it's a different kind of sort of like space. So it's still me and my fellow colleague doing the work. So, and if this is content that's of interest and you want to know more about self-development, about practical tools and tips, then please like and subscribe to the channel. That is my aim, to sort of like provide from my personal self-development journey, my training, my practical experience, to help you navigate life in a easier, more smoother kind of way, if at all possible. So until the next video, please go out and seize the day. Have the most amazing day, whatever you're doing. And remember, there's always choices in life, so choose wisely. Bye until the next one.